99% of people are not willing to do what it takes to make their dreams come true. The Marines have a saying, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. The center of bringing any dream into fruition is self-discipline. You know, something as simple as food and eating. It's not about your body as much as it is about your mind. It's getting command of your mind to be able to choose actions that are in your own best interest. Every day we are choosing that's not in our own best interest. So if the world is attacking you and the world wants to fight you and the world's trying to hold you down, so you're gonna kick yourself in the balls? So you're gonna stop yourself from getting what you dream. And I think the word discipline has kind of gotten a bad name. We think about it in terms of punishment. I'm not talking about discipline in that way. I'm talking about discipline in the sense that you forego immediate pleasure for the exchange of long-term self-respect. I believe that self-discipline is the definition of self-love. That when you say that you love yourself, that means that you have behavior towards yourself that is loving. Self-discipline is the center of all material success. You cannot win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind. Self-love is when you say to yourself, man, look, I know you and that girl got a real connection. I know y'all vibe, but that's your girl's cousin. So I love you too much to let you do that. It's like you say to yourself, hey man, look, I know you want to eat that pizza and it'll be really good, you know, but I can't let you eat that, man, because if you eat that pizza, you're going to feel like shit, you know, and I love you too much to let you eat that. Self-love is, hey, look, I know you got a test on Monday, you know, and I know you really want to go out with your friends. It's Saturday night, you want to go out, but if you fail that test, you're not going to feel good about yourself. You know, I love you too much to let you go out tonight. Self-discipline is self-love. If you want to be happy, you have to love yourself, which means you have to discipline your behavior. The road to sustained happiness is through disciplining your behavior.
You know, if you study people who are at the pinnacle of anything, you recognize that to get there, motivation was maybe 1% of the formula. Maybe. 1%. And I'll prove it to you. If you want to become a world-class bodybuilder, say an IFBB pro, what that takes is you have to train twice a day, 6 days a week. You have to have 8 meals a day. Your calorie intake is regimented. Your meals are pre-planned and pre-cooked. You don't eat according to taste, you eat according to function. So my trainer, for instance, will eat and I'm going, what are you eating? And he's having he'll have chicken that was boiled without salt. And he'll have like half a kilo of it. I mean, what are you doing? He says, I'm taking in protein. He doesn't say I'm eating. He says, I'm taking in protein. For him, it's functional. It's not taste-based. Then you would probably have to train for a minimum. And this is if you are a genetic phenom. You'd have to train for a minimum of 10 years before you could get on a stage and compete at an average level with an average global bodybuilder. Average. Okay. So why am I telling you this? All of us here at the beginning of a new year write these things called New Year's resolutions. And then New Year's resolutions, number 1, make more money. Yeah? Number 2, change my boyfriend. Number 3, get into shape. Yeah. Number 3, get into shape is somewhere in the top 3. So what do? You go to the gym, you get a gym membership. Yeah. You go to the local Nike store and you buy like all of your gym gear. You are motivated. You are inspired. You are going to the damn gym. You go to YouTube, you subscribe to all of the fitness channels. You go to your Instagram, you follow all of the fitness models. You are motivated. You are going to the damn gym. You're going to get in shape. That's what you're going to do. The people you're following on YouTube have been working on for a minimum of 5 years to look like that. So you have the incorrect understanding that after a month of working out, you're going to look like them. So what happens in the first month? You're excited. You go to gym every single month, and you take the pains and your body is sore, but I'm excited. I'm going to gym. Then life happens. Company doesn't make money. You don't make your targets. You fall a bit ill. Something happens. And all of a sudden you stop going to gym for a day. A day becomes 2, 2 becomes a week. Now all of a sudden you've had a gym membership for 3 months and you haven't been in that time. What did you miss? You thought motivation was the formula. Winners don't need motivation. Winners need discipline. Discipline's about getting it done because it needs to get done, not because I feel like it, not because I'm motivated for it. You think Nelson Mandela was motivated to spend 27 years in prison? You think Martin Luther King was motivated to march across the states and proclaim freedom? You think, if you look at people that change the world, they're not doing it because they're motivated. They're doing it because they made a commitment to do it and they disciplined to see it through. Discipline is far more important than motivation, which is why you got to be careful the decisions you make. Because once you make the decision, you have to see that decision through. Like my mentor says, first we make the decisions, then the decisions make us. So you got to be very careful the decisions you make. Be very careful the commitments you make. Motivation, I'm telling you now, is completely overrated. It's important. Don't get me wrong. We meet according to motivation. We feel good, rah-rah. But that'll fade. You need a stronger will and a deeper commitment to see things through.
If you're new to the Impact Secret Podcast show, welcome to the family, to my existing family. Big up, as always. Thank you for joining the show. On this podcast show, we shift the mindset through inspiration, motivation with a standing foundation of self-discipline. I am your respectful host, ED. For you smart and intelligent folks out there, listen, that just simply means Ed. You know the motto, the slogan, what we live by and stand on here. Bet on yourself. You won't win unless you get in the game and play. A quick quote from Bob Marley that we love here at the show. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Another thing that we appreciate here is living means doing what you love to do, even if you have to fall to get back up. So powerful. Well, as you know, family, one question and two thought-provoking statements. First question for you. What are your self-disciplines that allow you to improve your life right now and over time? Again, what are your self-disciplines that allow you to improve your life right now and over time? First thought-provoking statement, manageable segments. Manageable segments. That was inspired by Les Brown. And the last and final thought-provoking statement, failed, not a failure. Failed, not a failure. Today's episode is entitled Self-Discipline, Focusing a Step at a Time. Again, self-discipline, focusing a step at a time. You see, family, I decided to make today's show is because I recently had a self-discipline snack foo. If that's the best way to call it, a snack foo. Well, okay, let me, it's just us talking, family. So what happened was I got up at my normal time that I would, that I made a commitment to myself is on my whiteboard that I can look at it every time I get a chance to because of where I put the whiteboard at, and it's becoming ingrained in me. So I know what time I need to get up. Boom, got up on time, executed as far as getting up, getting ready to start my day. Well, part of the habits that I am constantly improving and working on is making sure that I have a type of meditation. For you, for me, what I like to do is I like to meditate, talk to God and talk to myself, just really just relax my mind and my body and just getting prepared for the actual day. Well, what happened was, I accidentally fell asleep. Don't judge me, family. Don't judge me. But wasn't even the issue. The issue was I had the audacity after I got up on time, after I did, I got up on time on the time I said I was going to get up. I put myself on, I said, well, you know what? Because I have a time of, starting and ending as far as my meditation. I think I do normally 25 minutes. And so when that 25-minute marker went off, I put it on. I set another alarm, said, well, I just need about 10 more minutes and just to really lock in. And this went on probably for a couple hours. And now this is what I was frustrated about after all of that was done is I didn't feel any more rested. And see, a lot of times, family, we, especially when it comes to sleep. Now, sleep is extremely important. Don't let anyone mislead you on that. There's, scientific studies to back that up. I don't have them currently with me, but I can just tell you from personal experience, sleep is very important. That's why I make sure that, since I am sacrificing times of my sleep, that I ensure that I put in my schedule a actual, rest day so I can make up for some of that sleep, as well as just revitalize my mind, because the importance of sleep. And again, I'm not going all through it, so I'm not a scientist, I'm not basically I'm me. So just to cover all the claims out there, what I'm just basically saying is what reason why I believe sleep is important, because it helps you to feel more refreshed. You've seen it where you may have seen exercises, whether on TVs or in movies, when someone is in a sleep deprived state in which they don't allow that person to sleep and they playing like loud music and everything like this, like the simplest things you will forget. So that is why, I am a huge component of sleep, but I work it in my schedule. And that's something I've had to learn, because I thought, well, if you grind until midnight, then get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and grind but you end up wearing yourself down. We're back to the story. So yeah, family. So I was disappointed in not the fact that during meditation, and I've never done that before when meditating, falling asleep. So I wasn't mad about that because I had alarm in place. But what I was disappointed in was the fact that I kept setting an alarm, and that made me go into from a victim mentality at first to I got to go into a victor mentality. How do I go to a victor mentality? Well, why not talk about it on the show? We always talk about the foundation of the show is self-discipline. Again, that's why I like with Vusi, and that was the last audio clip you heard was Vusi. The first one was Will Smith. And what I loved about Vusi, what he was saying, at first I was a little skeptical. I said, should I put this on the show? Because is it a contradiction? And I said, no, it's not. I said, this is what I talk about all the time about. It's even in the opening intro is about saying about, motivation and inspiration, but the foundation really truly is self-discipline. And the more you work on self-disciplining yourself, the better opportunities you have and chances you have. And that is so true, because I realized in the first 2 weeks of some of the schedule changes that I made and some of the habits, habits that I was putting in play, I was just executing them flawlessly. But then I got comfortable, and when I got comfortable, instead of sticking to what I was doing, all of a sudden, boom, I had hit the wall, or I should say that I created an excuse of the reason why I shouldn't have kept going. And so, family, that's one of the things that you have to look at. And it goes back to the first thought-provoking statement of manageable segments. One of the things reason why I like this, what Les Brown has said about manageable segments, is the point that we all get super excited and geared up. I don't care if it's purchasing a course. I don't care if it's getting, as Vusi talked about, a gym membership. We will go do all of the things that doesn't really cause us to be uncomfortable to a point. Because when I think about self-discipline, I think about being uncomfortable because I'm not doing the things that I'm enjoying to do. And really, again, self-discipline is really a course correction, meaning you're saying, I'm tired of doing what I was doing because it's not getting me the results that I want. So let me start experimenting and tacking certain things into my regimen or habits per se, so I can create the self-disciplines that will be required to achieve what I want to achieve. So what I had started, what I realized is that on this journey, it is a journey, and we're going to fall short. But going back to the manageable segments of you not wanting or attempting to do everything. I am guilty of that, and I share that with you guys. That is a weakness of mine, that I want to do everything, and I'm still working on getting better of narrowing my focus down and narrowing narrowing the things I'm going to work on. Like, for instance, I put down I wanted to work on a habit a month, and now I'm going to have to switch out my current habit of time management and put in self-discipline. The reason why is I truly believe that self-discipline, I thought time management was the governor, I should say, the one that really is the true, if you're able to manage your time, then you're able to manage everything else. But honestly, self-discipline is, if I'm able to really hone into that habit and really become great at that, it will affect every other aspect from, time management to even whatever the other habit it is that I want to study, whether it may be a reading habit. But you have to be self-disciplined. I have to be self-disciplined to want to be able to minimize distraction. I have to be self-disciplined to say, well, I'm going to lose X amount of weight, and this is my approach. And some of the things that I've done to, when I do go off track, like I explained to you earlier, is, of course, I go into straight course correction. And one of the things that really works well is what I'm doing here is doing research on self-discipline, and also looking like what made you do whatever you're doing. And for me, the reason why I did it is because I was saying I was tired, but really, yeah, I was probably tired, but I wasn't tired enough to really get in the way of what I wanted to do. Here's 3 quotes that I really want to share with you from the audio clip that we heard today. First quote is by Will Smith. He said, "You can't win the war against the world if you can't win the war." I don't know why I'm struggling with war. You can't win the war against your own mind. Again, you can't win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind. This one by Vusi, he said, "Winners don't need motivation, winners need discipline. Winners don't need motivation, winners need discipline." See, that was the one I was saying was controversial in my aspect, because this show is really about personal development. And when you think about personal development, a majority of the time, people always anchor personal development with motivation and inspiration, when really motivation and inspiration, if I was building a cake, I would say would be just the icing on the cake. What makes the cake has that taste, but it tastes good. But the foundation, as you guys know, or the actual cake itself, is really self-discipline. Because if, again, going back, if you don't have those self-discipline, it doesn't matter how inspired and motivated you are, because you won't do anything. You won't take any type of action. And so, I agree with what he's saying, to the point, and he did say, hey, yeah, you need motivation and inspiration. However, self-discipline really is the key component. And the last one by Vusi that he said his mentor said, he said, first we make the decision, then the decision makes us. What I noticed is when I started this show and I made the decision to start doing this show, and I was doing it every day and whatnot, and I switched up from, okay, I was just trying to put out as much content as I can. I mean, I was just going, and I switched from going from a more of a quantity base to going to quality, and start doing and start researching on how to make better titles, how to craft a better message. So I really start digging in deep to I'll say the technical side of everything. And a lot of times when you look at family, this is where people get lost at once, because when I was making all the quantity type videos, it was different things that I was going through, and I was doing a little research, but I wasn't going so much in depth as how I am now. Before I can get a show cranked out in maybe an hour or less, now it's taking me 2 to 3 hours to actually formulate, and I'm still improving. And a lot of this is because I'm researching on the editing software that I use, and then I'm trying to figure out, okay, should I put music with it? And it's just going through a whole decision tree. But the importance here is, family, is that once you make a decision and you start stepping forward, your actions is really going to drive the outcome of that overall decision of how you progress. So when you're going through and creating your goals of what you want to do, out of life, create these goals in a way, and this is my recommendation, of something that you can start the momentum train, as I call it, more or less, things that you can do. I remember, and I'm still working through this, like every Monday morning I sit down and I review my whiteboard of the things that I accomplished and the things that I didn't accomplish. And I start asking, like, why didn't I accomplish that? And some of these were, I think, they were just too far out there for me just now. I need to build up that momentum. Like, for example, I'm looking at it now. Originally I had put 7 video clips on IG for Impact series, because I haven't posted on IG in a minute. But then that week I went by and I didn't post anything. And it wasn't that I didn't have the time. It wasn't that I don't know what I do know what it was. I just didn't do it. And so I realized, okay, maybe that 7 numbers is preventing me from moving forward. I'm not managing it in a manageable way. So let's shoot for 2. So this week I'm looking to put 2 clips, audio clips on there. And I do have one of the clips actually that I'm going to extract from here. And actually I'm going to make a YouTube short out of it as well. So just finding ways, family, like I always share with you, that you have to really be a scientist of life. This is why I'm inspired by Tim Ferriss, because he's willing to test out different things. You see, I didn't say try, because, as Les Brown said, you don't try and sit down. Either you sit down or you do. You sit down or you don't, excuse me. And so that's why I'm a big component of testing and testing and testing. So this show has been an experimental show for me as far as testing. Okay, does this work? Do they like this content? Okay. No, they don't. Okay, I got to switch over here because this is what they're feeling. But this self-discipline, this is something I know I need to make a series on, because it's extremely important to whatever I don't care what it is you want out of life. If you want to be a great mother or a great, whatever you want, or the decision you made you want to be great at, is going to take some type of discipline. If you want to, budget your money better, it's going to take some type of self-discipline of saying, well, okay, I know I can get this, but I don't need that right now. I know I could probably go out to eat, but you know what, we're going to stay home and make a meal or whatnot, and we'll put that away. And putting away and saving doesn't mean that that you can leverage that money for something when something comes up that makes sense. But you know that you go out to eat, you'll spend a couple $100, and then as my mama would say, then you don't got nothing to show for it. So why not, find ways to and pick things to start off with again. And I know I keep repeating myself, but this is important. It's just like that whole New Year's resolution. I go over that at the New Year's. I'm gonna make a New Year's resolution show about it, because we always get excited. You, me, everybody around me, we all do it. We like, yeah, all right, I want to hit, $5,000 or $10,000 a month as my goal, and these are the things I'm going to do to achieve it. You got a plan mapped out, and yeah, or you know what, I'm going to go to the gym. Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure there's no reason why I can't get there. I'm going to put my clothes in there, and right after work, I'm going to go. And then you go for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, even you hit a whole month. And you're like, you know what, I'm going to go celebrate. I'm going to do something nice for myself. And you go do that thing. And then the next month rolls around, and then life hits you, and then you find ways to talk yourself out of it. So again, family, through self-discipline, let's focus on starting extremely small. And I say extremely small because you want to build that momentum up. And, when you fail, because you're going to fail, as I discussed that I fail, but you're not a failure. Don't allow of you failing at a discipline that you wanted to go after, beat yourself up. And maybe you don't do it, but I emotionally beat myself up when there's something I'm going after, and it was in my control. I'm not talking about in someone else's control. It's in my control. I had the control to be able to know that when that alarm went off, it's time to move to the next habit that I created, and I didn't do that. And so because I didn't do that, I was disappointed in myself, because I know better, and I know exactly what it was, or the reason why. It was the self-talk of me telling myself that I was tired. But if I was so tired, how did I get up? How did I put on my clothes? Like, I wasn't just sleepwalking around there. So that again, family, be careful of that self-talk. I say beating yourself up, but I think the best political or the best correct terminology would be that self-talk, because self-talk is it when it's negative can really take you on a ride that you have to constantly work on. You have to constantly just change the dynamics. And again, this can be on the foundation of self-discipline. Another thing you have to understand is when you are going through self-discipline, you have to understand what are the benefits for you. Like, I know it's cliche, but it has a great point to it. But a lot of times we don't know what our so-called why is. Like, why do you want to lose weight? Like, not just because I want to lose weight because, so I can look good. Okay, that's great. But why not lose weight because you want to stay around longer, or you want to be able to walk up a flight of stairs without gasping for air, or you want to be able to play with your kids or grandkids or whatever that is. And so, family, we have to dig deeper into the root of what our reasoning is. I heard someone say recently, and I agree with them now, but at first I was like, but I agree, because reason why I agree is the fact that when we really want something, we will do what we would do, not what is required or what is necessary. That's what you normally hear. You would do it as permanent. And what I mean by you would do it as permanent, meaning you will do it until it works. And if it doesn't work, you will change it up and figure it out. But what I say, I agree with someone that said, he was like, when people talk about their why, they never talk about, but they only give surface level whys. They don't give rooted whys. Like a rooted why is, I want to be able to create an economical system for, family members, or I want to be able to create a business in which will allow myself to be able to create opportunities for people that want to get into media, or people that are inspired by some of the things that I'm doing. So rooted is something that in which is so deep to you and so dear to your heart that this is your purpose of why you're doing it, not just because, hey, I want to be a millionaire, or who doesn't want to be a millionaire or billionaire, but getting a deep rooted answer. And again, I'm one of those things I'm starting to believe is, as you focus more on the deep rooted, if you want to get to the bag, you want to get to that bread, it's definitely possible. And reason why I say it's definitely possible is because you understand, once you understand, doing your research and when you're doing your research, you're taking the information and you're applying it, then that allows you to say, okay, this is working or this is not working. Not everything you're going to do is going to work, but there are a lot of things that will work. And once you figure it out, boom, but you have to stay with it. I've been sticking with this show. I think we dropped our first show May 6th. I'm looking at the board, May 6th, 2020. And literally, if I add 2 more days to my schedule, I'll end up lapping some of the people that inspired me to even start this show. And so I'll say all that to say this, family. I won't keep you too much longer. I know I kept you for a while. I want you to get to the root of your why, not the surface level, the root, so you can start building out those self-disciplines. And when you're building out these self-disciplines, make sure that you are not, I loved another thing. This is so powerful. I saved this for the end. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you, first of all. Make sure you hit subscribe, share this. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and share and leave a comment. If you're on your favorite podcast, hey, give me 5 stars. Your boy deserves it. I put in that work for it. I hope that is some good content, and leave a comment or hit me on IG. Let me know what you think about the material. DI me on Impact Secret Podcast Show. That's on IG. Now back to business. One of the most powerfulest things that I got out of today's show, and I hope that you will too, is what Vusi talked about, which was incorrect standards. See, what incorrect standards, if you allow me to put the ED remix on that, is basically looking at people's success, and you're starting, and you're looking where you're starting and where they're at. I'll say that again. Incorrect standards is basically you're looking at where people are successful, I should say, and where you're starting, and you think where you're starting is where they're at being successful. It doesn't work that way. We're all guilty of that. We see something that may inspire us. It was like, oh, I want to do that. And then once we get into the minutia of what it takes to do that, it's like, well, why is it not happening like for this person? Because they're just knocking it out the park. But what they don't tell you is the 4 to 6 to 10 or however many years it took for them to get there. And don't feel bad about that. That's why I told you, family, when I started the show, I just put there's, and I'm still working through it. It's until I can get to the point of, and I probably never will, because it's not about being a perfectionist. It's about getting better at your craft. And I'm never going to be satisfied or content. So I'm going to continually to want to work and get better. But when you measure your standards up against where people are at, you're going to fall short every time, because of you don't know the work that they put in to be where they're at. And so it's good to model, meaning you're impressed and inspired by what they're doing, but you got to go back to your laboratory and do the necessary work and learn, from the missteps. And, of course, I'm a big component of investing in courses or some type of training to help you to boost that along, or to learn different shortcuts in which people prior to you have already taken. So with that being the case, family, I'll close today's show again. I don't want you to feel, just because you failed at a habit, that you said, hey, for a week, I'm not going to do this, and you failed at it, now you just give up. See, when you give up, that's when you go to from failing to a failure. So family, if you fail, get back up. Let's try it again. If you fail again, it's just a constantly, it's like it's on repeat of your favorite song. You got to keep doing it over and over until you find that whatever it clicks for you. And when it clicks, oh boy, what a beautiful feeling. What a joyous time. I don't even know what else to say, but thank you guys for spending time with me. Again, this has been the Impact Secret Podcast Show. I've been your respectful host, ED. You know what we normally do at this point. Peace.